The cafe smelled faintly of roasted coffee beans and fresh bread, but for Hannah Cole it smelled more like humiliation. She sat at the corner table of Morning Bloom, a small but elegant cafe near downtown, nervously twisting the paper napkin in her hands. Every tick of the clock behind the counter made her heart pound faster. She had spent the entire morning getting ready, straightened her chestnut hair, applied light makeup to cover the shadows under her eyes, and even wore the soft blue dress her mother used to say brought out her eyes. She thought she was finally going on a date with someone who saw her for who she was. A gentle, hard-working woman trying to rebuild her life after losing nearly everything. What she didn't know was that this blind date had started as a cruel joke. Before the story unfolds further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Journal. Your support helps spread stories that touch hearts and remind us that goodness still exists. Hannah had worked as a receptionist at a small construction firm for 2 years, quiet, reserved, and always willing to cover shifts. She wasn't part of the gossip circles in the office. That made her an easy target. A few of her coworkers, 3 young women who liked to laugh at others' expense, decided to set her up on a blind date. They told her the man was an investor named Chris, charming and successful, who had asked them to introduce him to someone sincere. They even showed her a fake photo they'd pulled from the internet. Hannah, lonely and tired of feeling invisible, believed them. It had been years since her divorce and since she'd learned to hide her scars behind polite smiles. So she waited. The clock hit 100 p.m., then 1:15. The waiter came over twice asking if she wanted to order. She politely declined both times. Finally, at 1:30, the cafe door opened. A tall man in his late 30s walked in, dressed sharply in a dark blue suit. His presence commanded attention without effort. His name was Nathan Ross, a single father and the CEO of a well-known real estate company. But he wasn't there for a date. He was there because his assistant, Ben, one of the girl's boyfriends, had told him about a strange company lunch meeting at this cafe. He was supposed to meet a potential charity partner. Instead, his eyes met Hannah's, the only woman sitting alone, clearly waiting for someone. For a brief moment their eyes locked. Something in her hopeful, anxious expression made him hesitate. He approached her table unsure. "Are you Hannah?" he asked cautiously. She nodded, relief flooding her face. "You must be Chris," she said softly. Nathan blinked, puzzled, but then he saw the phone on her table, 3 messages from coworkers flashing, "He's coming! Don't mess it up!" And you actually went, "OMG!" And in that instant it hit him. They had set her up. Nathan, known for his calm temperament, felt anger rise in his chest, not at Hannah, but at the cruelty of the prank. He could have walked away. He could have explained. But instead he sat down, smiled kindly, and said, "Yes, I'm Chris. Sorry I'm late." Hannah's eyes brightened like someone had just handed her back a piece of hope she'd long lost. They talked. At first it was small things, her love for baking, her dream of opening a small pastry shop someday, his vague mentions of work in real estate. And his son, Ethan, a quiet 10-year-old who loved sketching buildings. Every now and then Nathan would watch her eyes. There was something deeply genuine about them, tired, maybe, but full of quiet strength. As they talked, Nathan realized Hannah wasn't just another lonely soul. She was a survivor. She had endured an emotionally distant marriage, fought through debts, and still found reasons to smile at strangers. Her hands shook when she laughed, not because she was nervous, but because she wasn't used to being seen. Hours slipped by unnoticed. By the time they finished dessert, the cafe had emptied out, and sunlight spilled softly through the windows. Nathan offered to walk her to the bus stop, and she accepted. But as they stepped outside, the cruel laughter came. Across the street, her 3 coworkers stood, phones in hand, recording everything. "Hey, Hannah! How's your date with Mr. Millionaire?" One shouted, "Wiss, he's into charity work." Another laughed. Hannah froze. Realization hit her like a punch to the chest. Her breath caught as tears burned her eyes. She turned toward Nathan, mortified. I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I didn't know they tricked me." But Nathan didn't move away. Instead, he stepped in front of her protectively. "You think humiliating someone kind makes you clever," he said, his voice calm but firm. The laughter stopped. "You have no idea who you just mocked," he continued, pulling out his phone. The logo of Ross Developments gleamed on the case. And if this is how you treat people at work, you might want to start packing your desks." The girl's smiles vanished instantly. Hannah stood there in stunned silence, her face pale. Nathan turned back to her, his expression softening. "Come on, let's get you home." That moment, between humiliation and kindness, changed everything. Over the next few weeks, Nathan couldn't stop thinking about her. He found out from his HR department that she worked under one of his subsidiary branches. He didn't want to interfere or make things awkward, but something about her haunted him. So he decided to visit the site under the pretense of an inspection. When Hannah saw him again, she froze. He smiled gently and asked if she would join a new community project, one where they were hiring local talent to design and run small charity cafes that supported single parents. Her eyes widened as he explained the vision. "You told me you liked baking," he said simply. "Maybe it's time you shared that with others." Hannah couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears silently gathering in her eyes. From that day on, she worked closely with Nathan's team. At first, she thought he was just helping out of guilt or pity. But gradually she saw the sincerity in his actions. He visited often, always bringing his son Ethan, who quickly grew attached to her. She'd bake cookies while Ethan sat drawing beside her. Sometimes, Nathan would stay longer, helping clean up after hours, sharing small stories about losing his wife years ago and raising Ethan alone. Their conversations became the quiet moments they both needed. As the weeks turned to months, rumors began to spread, some whispered, some jealous, but neither of them cared. The cafe project flourished, turning into a success story that local media picked up on. Hannah's confidence bloomed. She no longer looked like the woman who had once been tricked into a cruel prank. She stood tall, radiant, her laughter genuine again. One sunny afternoon, Nathan invited her and a few staff members to the official opening of the second branch of their community cafe project. The event was grand yet warm, children running around, music playing softly, and the air filled with the scent of baked pastries. Hannah wore a cream-colored dress and an apron embroidered with the cafe's name, Hope's Corner. Halfway through the event, as she spoke with a group of volunteers, Nathan took the stage. His son Ethan stood beside him, clutching a small velvet box. "Ladies and gentlemen," Nathan began, his voice steady but warm. "This project started as a simple idea, to give people a second chance. But for me, it became something much more." His eyes searched for Hannah in the crowd. Sometimes the most beautiful things come from unexpected places. Sometimes, what begins as pain turns into purpose. The crowd fell silent as he stepped down from the stage and walked toward her. Hannah's eyes widened as he stopped in front of her, his expression full of quiet emotion. "You were set up as a joke, Hannah," he said softly, "but you taught everyone, including me, that kindness isn't weakness, it's strength." Then he got down on one knee. "So today, I'd like to ask if you'd do me the honor of being my partner, in life, in this dream, and in raising Ethan together." Gasp rippled through the crowd. Hannah's hands trembled as tears filled her eyes. She couldn't speak for a moment. All she could see was Ethan smiling up at her, holding out the box. Inside was a simple silver ring. "Nathan," she whispered, her voice breaking.
"Yes."
Applause erupted, echoing through the courtyard. Even the same coworkers who had once mocked her stood frozen, guilt written across their faces. Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a gentle embrace. For the first time in years, Hannah felt truly seen, not as a joke, not as a failure, but as someone worthy of love and respect. From that day on, the story of Hope's Corner Cafe spread across the city, a tale of redemption, kindness, and love found in the most unexpected places. Nathan and Hannah worked side by side, turning pain into purpose. Together they opened more branches, each one employing people who had once been overlooked or underestimated. And sometimes, when customers came in and asked about the name behind the cafe, Hannah would smile and say, "Because hope deserves a second chance."